Hello, testing. How's the sound out there?
Yeah. You ready? Hey. Let's go. Back. Yo, once again I'm back around. Real shit back in style. Haters reconcile. I'm so black and proud. First class tickets now. Feet all in the aisle. Everybody looking down. Everybody get red when you brown, huh? Look at me up. I'm putting it down, you picking it up. Checking the models, they want us to go to college just so we can be stuck. Go to school to make a living, or teach yourself to make a fortune. Common sense, welcome to the apocalypse. I'm one of the horsemen. I don't need your endorsement, I don't need reinforcement. Giving you your last warning, cause I'm at my prime. Yeah. I'm at my prime. Whoa. Have I gone too far? Do you detect something different? If you look inside my head, would you say something's missing? If you could give all your riches just to say the word, would you risk it? These politicians so old, can't tell if they're dead or they living. Better ask Kathy Griffin. You know I like to raise stakes. We was always taught to hit the gas, we ain't even know they made brakes. We control our own fate, watching dreams take shape. Try to keep us out, we gon' freak out, turn this water cake. I don't need your mandate, don't need you to elevate. I'm about to detonate, cause I'm at my prime. Yeah. I'm at my prime. Said I'm at my prime. We at our prime. Hey, hey, we at our prime. I'm at my prime.
Is that the first time that that's perfect? I think that deserves one of these. Let me just see if this works. Hey, there we go. Woo. Thanks, people. Thanks. Sounds good. Video's good. I think everything seems alright. Can you people hear me out there? I'm not sure. I think it sounds alright. Yeah. How are we on this lovely Sunday evening? Yeah. I thought, why am I nervy? I'm a little bit butterfly-y. I don't know. How's everybody? It's a little bit earlier, so I'm tipping there'll be a few more people that straggle in a little bit later. It's only 8:53, but I was just sitting around here messing around with all my bits and pieces, and I thought, well, I think this sounds better. I had the other mic on Friday night, and I think this sound is a bit better bassy. Let me just check if I can. I don't want to mess with stuff. Let's not do that. We'll do it another time. Hey, Andrew, Zach, who else is there tonight? Nick, g'day. Classic screw up that gay buddy. That's it, nice. Michelle, hello. Well, Zach, the usual suspects. Emma, are you all there? Yeah, I'm sure there's a few others that's watching. There's a few of us tonight. I'm tipping nobody does anything on a Sunday night, so I thought, Sunday, unofficial Sunday. I've got some great news tonight, but we'll get to that when the show actually starts. So we can just waste some time now. How's everybody doing? Anybody get up to anything interesting today? I'm tipping a lot of feeding, cleaning. I did a bit of cleaning this morning of the lizards, the blue tongues, yeah. I think I figured them out. I think, like my bigger hesitation with blue tongues have always been, and we're not talking about blue tongues today. We're just shit talking before the show starts. I think the biggest deterrent for me, with blue tongues in the past have been the stink, Yeah, I don't know. They were always, when I was working down at that, or when we had Sika and all that, that shop, we had blue tongues, and, I kept them on paper, and then we tried aspen bedding, and it just doesn't last for those things. And then I found this stuff online. I found hemp. I saw somebody using hemp. I saw somebody using hemp somewhere. And it just looked like the perfect substrate. And I reckon it'd be the perfect substrate for snakes as well. I don't know. I like paper under a snake. I don't know how you guys feel. I'm a big butcher's paper, and I get the butcher's paper you used to get the butcher's paper pre-cut, and you just, if you've got tubs and racks, you just slot the paper in there, and it's all ready to go, and you get them all different sizes, and the vision racking seems to have overlapping sizes. So, you can a V70, like you could use a V70, you could just fold in a certain way, and then you can cover a V35. And for a hatchling tub, I used to just get that cut. I mean, a ream of paper would give you for a pack of at least 2,500 to 3,000 sheets. And that just works, man. I don't know why people struggle like that. Or with Vision, the hatchling racks, I used to just have a stack of newspapers, and the little inserts inside the newspaper, the big newspaper. People don't read that many newspapers now. I mean, it's times have changed, But I used to just take out the insert, the small, like the leaders, like that size, and then you can literally stack those one page. If you fold it in half, fits perfectly in those small hatchling tubs. And I used to just go on Saturdays or on the weekend, and I used to just sit and fold paper for a couple of hours, and always have that newspaper on stack. So when you see a snake shit, you just quickly chop it and changing it out. I think reptile keeping is a lot of it's involves streamlining your caging. And I always say to people, large collections, if you haven't got a system sorted out, you'll stay in there forever, and you just, time is money, and like if you've got a family, you still want to be able to hang out with your kids, So let me just see what the time is. It's 4 minutes ago. So nobody's got anything to add. I think we're similar numbers to the other night. Still picking up. People are expecting 9 o'clock. So, but Zach, I saw you said cleaning and feeding. Yeah, the great life, isn't it? Now I wonder. Sorry, my cheap big given cups. You know, I think everybody has like cups that they got handed down. I've had these cups for bloody years. Off topic, of course. So let me just switch off some. These sound bars are bouncing around, and my dog's barking at me because he's new and doesn't quite know what's going on when this somebody's talking and he can't see who's talking. So as I was saying about the racks, I don't know. I'm not sure if I haven't seen Steve push it. Steve Crawford. I haven't seen him push the racks. Does anybody know if he still imports the racks? The Vision racks? I don't know. I know there was talk about somebody bringing in some of the European racking. I saw it on one of the groups at one stage, and I started getting a little bit excited because I mean everybody needs to have a rack. You know, it's just one of those things. But I see a lot of there's a big move, and I've said it on every show. You know, you see it more and more and more. People are pushing now for wide open spaces and you know, stimulus inside the tubs and all this stuff. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if anybody's got some insight into that. Repta chip. Yeah, I never really tried Repta chip, Nick. I like the Aspen, but it's just so exorbitantly expensive. And I used to use the Aspen that they sell to the labs that came in from New South Wales. What was the Repti? What was it? Is that the Repti chip? I can't remember. Is the Repti chip was the... yeah, welcome Heath. There we go, finally. The Repti chip, I think, is that the stuff, is that the Western Australian Aspen equivalent? The little things? Man, I tried that, you know, like when Damien, a few years, quite a few, how many years ago was that, Andrew? When Damien up in Sydney released the Repti chip in... Nothing changes. I told Steve when I get some money, need some. Yeah. I think a lot of people, the Vision racks are very popular. But I tried some of those of the Aspen particulate, you know, they're not the Zoom Aid stuff. I love the Zoom Aid stuff. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the Zoom Aid stuff. I think if there's an Aspen that we should get in bulk volumes, it should be the Aspen Zoom Aid, you know. But I'll just have to say hello to everybody that joined at 9. So for those of you that's been here, you know, yeah. Hello. Hello, everybody else that's joining. Hello. I just wanted to say thank you for the time. You know, you guys don't have to. I think it's a good enough little bit of time to kill, you know, on a Sunday night. It's better than some of the viewing on national television. You could be Bondi, what's it, Bondi Rescue? Huh? And no, not 9 o'clock yet. So, Nick, yeah, it's a bomb. Doesn't smell at all. Smells great. Yeah, mate, it's real fine. So, good evening, everybody. Sorry, we started a little bit earlier, about 10 minutes earlier. It's just to sort of populate the feed a little bit. And welcome to Carpet Python. Shall we call it Carpet Python Television? I don't know. Carpet Nation. Everybody that likes carpets. Now, I just have to pre-warn people when they start watching the show. If you're expecting to come here and learn a lot about carpets tonight, I'll spare you the next hour of your life because we're just going to talk. I think the show's in the very early stages of its existence, and I'm still trying to figure out where we're going to head and what we're going to do here. And I really want to touch on topics that sort of have been forgotten. You know, I'd like to discuss. We'll get back to the chat we had before later, guys. So I'd like the channel to be a little bit about the Carpet Python history. If you know Carpet Python keeping a lot of. I really want to focus on husbandry as well. I think there's a lot of tips and tricks and things that's not commonly available, and even the books I don't think. Have a lot of information, you know, like from breeder side of it. I think there a lot of stuff gets left out of books that people just, when you're keeping snakes and reptiles, you just sort of take it for granted. You know, newbies don't always get to know those tricks, and I think this might be a good platform, you know, to have a bunch of guys on here. I think it's just going to get better. I mean, the feedback I've gotten has been very encouraging. You know, like I've been getting messages from people that I haven't spoken to in at least 6-7 years, you know, and everybody's been saying, you know, great job, you know, the people that matter, you know, like the guys that the players, you know, and ex-players in the industry, you know, and they all want to see this grow and evolve, you know, because I don't think we have a platform in Australia that really caters for people that just want to. There's no real. We've got the groups. I mean, we've got the groups, But I think this from the vibe I'm getting, the guys want to come on and talk, and it's always good to hear a bit of real world experience from guys that've been doing it for a while. And it's not like we curing the world of a major disease, or it's anything groundbreaking, but in our world, in our little community, and the world where us reptile keepers function in, it's important. I think it's good to know who the guy is that's selling you the snake interstate. It's good to be able to go through the database and find somebody that's trustworthy to buy a snake from. And I think this channel can really feature like that, so you can get a real feel. It's different to see text messages, to deal with somebody through written medium. And I think if you can have a link somewhere where I've spoken to a breeder via video feed, or even just on the phone, because my system here can do anything. I mean, I can bring in Skype calls with video, and I can do just phone calls from here. And I think a lot of guys can, see. Yeah, that's like what you mean. This phone cover, matches that. There we go. Yeah, I'm a bit of a camo fetish, I think. But I think when you can see a video conversation between me and another guy, and this is even this type I can even have 4 people. I can have a split screen and have 4 guys on the same screen having a round table discussion. That's never been done before on an Australian medium. I don't even think it's been done overseas. I think the best one. And now, I follow YouTubers, not reptile people. I follow videographers and guys that do this for a living. Make videos, and I've learned quite a bit over the last few years. I've really invested a lot of my time into learning how to do this stuff, just for the sake of bringing people together. And so far, I'm surprised and overwhelmed by I really am surprised by the people that have contacted me. It's people that I've had fallouts with, because egos and macho-ness and a chip on the shoulder got in the way. Really, and people said stuff, and it was not even backstabbing. It's just egos get in the way of friendship when it comes to reptiles, and money as well. Money's a big factor in people making bad, being enemies in our industry. And it's just been great to hear people, to hear from guys that I haven't heard from in fucking years, man. I'm so happy that you guys. I'm so happy that because I'm a bit sensitive about reaching out to people, because I'm getting with it. I'm getting better. I'm already on top of the world. I mean, my mind's running at 1,000,000 miles an hour on how to make this better and how to bring guys on, and what are we going to do next week. And I can't sleep at night. I haven't been like this in years, where I actually feel like there's an aim and there's a bigger picture here than just snake breeding. Because let's face it, there's a lot of snake breeders, but there's a lot. The callings is a lot higher. There's the purpose is always bigger than snake breeding. We have to still bring in youngsters, and we still have to make our environment and our community welcoming to the newer folk that come into the system and that want to learn. I don't think they get the benefit of the doubt in the groups. Even if a kid can just sit and watch the show. I mean, I've listed this 18 plus because my language can get a little bit feral every now and then. But I think if kids can come in and actually learn from the guys that do it on a semi-professional, because we've only got a handful. I mean, I did it professionally for a couple of years, but we've got only a couple. I think we've got 1, maybe 2 guys that are doing it, and I don't think it's carpet python guys. Maybe 1. I don't know if Jared works. I think Jared Sharp maybe. I haven't. He's another one that I need to really pick up the phone, and he reached out to me after that first show that I did, and we had a short discussion. But life gets in the way. I'll try and I've got his number, man. I've dealt with Jared. I sold him shit in 2005, I think. It's 2006. I've known him since then, and I really need to touch base with him. Like Jared, if you're out there, we'll catch up. I'm really trying hard to get to Sydney, to just catch up with the guys up there. And I really want to go and see a friend of mine up there that I haven't seen in a couple of years. And I want to see how his stuff's doing up there, and just catch up. It's nice to be into. For the longest time, I think I felt a little bit lost without. You guys are my people. Like it's the tribe that we belong to. It's the people that we hang out with. It's the community that we want to. And for the longest time, I really felt like a bit of an outcast. So sorry if I get deep and meaningful. I'm just very grateful. I'm really grateful for just for the feedback. I last night I was Friday night after the show. I actually last night I was just sitting on the phone, and I got a message through on my old because I've got a personal somebody. If you guys are sending me if you're sending me like friend requests on my own profile with the Reptile News logo, that's my personal. So I try and keep. There's a couple of snake friends in there, but there's another profile with a carpet python logo on actually that you can send me a friend request on, and there's all the history. There's a lot of photo albums and stuff to look through, and see where I came from. And just give you a little bit of a rundown of myself and what I was doing and over the last few at least 10, 15 years. So but I was just hanging around last night, and I got this message from Troy Kilogowski. And I get so caught up in what some of the fools do online, and what their little opinions are. I forget who the guys are that I was kicking around with when we started the mutation side of things in the country. And Troy reached out to me and he said to me, man, he was over at Deb and Wayne's place, and they showed him the cast, and I hope he's watching tonight, man. I'm grateful, I really am. Thank you for reaching out. I would have probably never done it because I wouldn't know. I'm not sure if I can make contact with guys. I'd love to catch up with some of the guys that are involved in the trailblazers at the moment. I mean, there's only a few of them. But Troy reached out to me, and we did a few shows together on Reptile Radio in the past. And Troy reached out to me and he said to me, man, hey, awesome. He saw the photo, he saw the video. And when are we doing something? And I thought Troy's not very well. He's since I've known him, he's had issues with his kidneys. And I think he's just gone. I'm not sure how. He's a private guy now these days. He's very public at one stage, and I think I definitely I'm hoping to get him on in the next week. So if you love watching Troy, prepare yourself. We'll have a conversation this week, and I really feel privileged that you. You could, we used to be good mates, and then also chip on the shoulder, me having a big ego, fuck, man, I was reading through some of the groups, I had 2 groups online, and, I'll go through some of the posts and stuff that I made in the good old days, 5, 6, 7 years ago, man, and I was such an arrogant fucking prick, that's not to look down on me, you can look back at your life and you can go, man, you can definitely see the change that's happened, and I'm just happy that the guys are willing to go to see the bigger thing, because this isn't just for the carpet enthusiast or whatever. I've got another page, Reptile News. I'll see how that goes, because that's big, and that's also got a lot of Aussies. I think at least 20 or 30% of that page is Australian. So whether I do this, it's hard to come up with content. I mean, there's only so much you can talk about carpet pythons unless you get help from the other guys in the industry. Because it's awesome to just hear how guys do it and how they keep it. Some guys keep in racks, some guys keep in cages, some guys keep in both. Some guys are in Queensland, others in Victoria, and it changes every time you keep snakes in a different part of Australia. You're bound to keep them differently. It's very quiet here. Nobody has something to say, or we're just listening tonight. Come on, get involved. And we'll see. I'm hoping maybe Friday night I'll make a big. I'll definitely push the show. And I'm not sure what we'll cover, but I know, I just think talking about it, I just think making people aware of what we do, and that there is actually Australian reptile industry. I don't think the world sees enough of what the Aussies are doing and what what we're achieving over here. As far as I'm concerned, I think we miles ahead. With okay, sure, there's stuff like axanthic granites and axanthic stuff over there that we haven't made, but it's really just It's really just the granite mutation that we haven't done everything in. And there's lots of guys with. Not lots. There's a few guys with heads that should be up to size for breeding next year, and that should really put us on. Let us go straight past the rest of the world when it comes to that. I mean, on other fields like blue tongues, and I mean, I don't even want to go there. There's nobody that touches Joe Ball, and that's not me sucking up, but it's just the fucking truth, Yeah, we'll cover incubation. I mean, incubations are something that I sort of specialize in for the longest time with all my incubation tubs that I sold around Australia, I'm sure a lot of people remember the good old days on Aussie Pythons. Oh, wasn't that just a joy? Yeah, it was a joy. I think it's still the same. Some of the groups, man, I've added myself to some groups, and you go, man, anybody can have a group these days, and it's really, really hard to find the good ones. There are a few out there. I belong to a lot of groups that involve, because I like to generalize. I mean, there's. For the longest time, I was involved in all types of reptiles, and then I sort of specialized in a couple of things, and that's where I settled in. But it's always important as a reptile keeper to keep abreast of everything that's happening. I mean, thermostats, lighting, incubation medium, it's pretty limited. Snakes are pretty easy. I mean, snakes are very easy, but there's still people that mess it up. I mean, I don't get. I really don't know. The information's so freely available. But then, of course, I was saying to somebody the other day, the news lies. We've been told the news lies to us, and we've been told the social media lies to us, So who do you listen to? Unless you experience it yourself. That's a strange time we live in. So at least a channel like this, we can selectively pick and handpick. And I don't even care about handpick. I'm interested in having the odd guy on that has 4 clutches in the incubator or 2 clutches, and he's just ecstatic and excited to be involved in reptiles. So friends, Aussie Pythons lives still. I often cruise through the classifieds. Yeah, you would be looking through the classifieds, won't you? I remember going through classifieds. Oh. Oh, you can find some gems in there, guys, and it's terrible. It's terrible because in the good old days, people didn't know what they were selling. It's just terrible saying that, But sometimes as a breeder, you prey on the ignorance of somebody that didn't, and it's a terrible part of our industry. Some guy selling a snake, and you can clearly see, well, something going on here. And you'll just buy it, and he'll be none the wiser in 2-3 years down the line. And I mean, I'm laughing at it, but it's part of what we do. We're always looking for the next new thing and the next best snake and whatever. And I've really come to the resolution, or not resolution. What's the word? I've really come to the conclusion that you should really just start with what you love. There's so much stuff out there. I'd rather just save up and buy the best that my money can afford. I just noticed here, I don't know how to say it, Alan Milanovic. Happy birthday, mate. I saw you come up here. Yeah, I'm in touch with the people that watch the show, Out of focus. I think your screen's out of focus. I can see myself right here, and it looks like it's in focus, man. Yeah. Maybe it just popped out of focus quickly. What's Mitchell Hodgson? What's your thoughts on steps forward for the Australian reptile keeping scene? Aussie Pythons. I think there's a need for a good forum nowadays. Though Aussie Python is pretty dead relative to Facebook forums. Save information way better than Facebook. I've trolled through old posse, but that's what I've said. Facebook buries information. So what I want to do with this channel is I want to interview as many people as I can, and even on the Reptile News channel, because I've got a friend over, John Dragna from Squimata Concepts over in America. I'm just waiting for him to get it. I said it the other night. I'm just waiting for him to get his shit together, and he's lining up some guys over in the US that are, because he knows all the guys like Ty Park, Kevin McCurley, all these big players over there that will give us a little bit of insight into how they do things over there. And what I want to do is on YouTube, I want to lump the videos together. So people, if they're looking for stuff around certain species, they can find the stuff. So this is really ground zero for these channels. And if the vision's that great that I don't know, I mean, I won't be able to get to where we can go with it without help from everybody. And that's why it's important that we understand that it's the bigger picture thing that we're trying to achieve here, especially for the Australian industry. So at least on YouTube, and what I can see from YouTube, at least there the information doesn't get, if you do a search, because YouTube is owned by Google, they always come up, the searches always come up with YouTube. I'm sure you guys have noticed it. Searches always come up with YouTube videos first. So if we can get these channels, I mean, unfortunately, I have to be there. I don't even have to be. I like to be right in there and get my hands dirty, because from what I've seen over the years, there's a lot of talk and there's not that much doing. So if I can be right in there and get the ball rolling and get things going, at least we've got that database there. That if you ever get stuck, and if you ever get it should be so good that if you ever have a buyer that doesn't know what a jag is, that you can link a video to so you don't have to go next, that's the toughest part of being a snake breeder or reptile keeper, is to be able to supply somebody with a link or with information that is accurate. So if I can go on here and somebody will need to know something about rough scale pythons, and I, for instance, I don't know if something about rough scale pythons, and I can find somebody that specializes in rough scale pythons, and I can make a video with that person talking about rough scale pythons, and you can link that to a message on Facebook, and the person can go watch that video and come back to you and say, I get it. That's the plan. That's what I'd like to do. It's a mountain to climb, and there's always resistance and there's bad mouthing and that type of stuff. So if we can look past that and see the channel for what its intended purpose is, I think we'll be able to put something together. I really do. Who's better to discuss the hypo? And I haven't even spoken to Joe about this, but I'm sure he knows that's the direction. If we can make a video where we discuss everything that involves a hypermelanistic gene, or if we albinism and how the gene, weakness, pros, cons of the different subspecies, now we can post it somewhere. And I know there's the guys have got their own channels and whatever, and I don't. If you don't want to get involved, that's also fine. I know enough about a lot of different things that I could probably bullshit my way through it, but I don't want to bullshit through stuff. I want to actually have the guys that are actually ground level doing the hard yards on it, and put those guys together. And even if you could have 2, 3, 4 guys talking about it at the same time. I mean, it's such a great medium, video, and you can see who you're dealing with. If you're unsure about a guy that you're buying a reptile from, what better way is it to go and watch an hour video and see the mannerism? Because people aren't stupid. You can read everything you need to know about somebody by just seeing how they conduct themselves on camera, or how they conduct themselves around other people. I'm not saying that videos are only medium, but I mean, I can record podcasts as well. Podcasts are just, like this thing. Every time I have a show, I keep forgetting to press the record button here. So yet again, I don't have this recorded to put on the Carpet Python radio channel. That's also a podcast that I haven't really utilized. But there's a lot to think about when you're a one-man show. So I don't know. That's what I'm sort of thinking. Facebook, all Aussie Python posts for husbandry and tips and heaps of species. Yeah, Aussie Pythons. I don't know, but a lot of the information on Aussie Pythons went missing as well when they did the big changeover. I think they changed servers and stuff, and a lot of the information just went missing during the transfer because it was that much. Let's just see what's going on Facebook here. So I see if there's any questions there. Hang on. I see Vinny's made some comment there. Sometimes, because I use a different streaming provider, the stream sometimes, it doesn't hook into Facebook properly. So you have to look around for it. So I'm still learning how to do that. So, is there anything else? I mean, we're talking, I'm really just rambling tonight, but I didn't feel like going to bed and watching rubbish on TV. So, the racking, nobody knows anything else. Nobody knows if Steve's still bringing that in. I don't know. I spoke to him a while back as well. Reach out to him and everything's good. A lot of guys have moved on and are busy with other things. I noticed. Does anybody know? I noticed a couple of guys have got. I know Gavin Bedford was complaining probably about 6 months ago about the licensing involved in the own Pally pythons, and I noticed that there's a few guys in Queensland. Queensland was one of the places where they couldn't be kept. I saw there's a few guys in Queensland that's got their own Pallies now. Is there a special license that they've got to have them, or that Queensland the Queensland parks relax a little bit on that licensing? I know that there's ways to go about to get new species on license up there, but I thought it's pretty cool that Queensland's allowed it. Victoria, of course, will probably for the next 10 years, 20 years, not have new species added. So it was quite cool to see that. Pally pythons are making it into private hands. I also saw the guys that came over here on holiday, the Americans, Eric and his cohort, found their own Pally right in the national park. So that's I can't believe that. Like, that's just sickening. Seriously. Well done. You've done stuff that a lot of Australians haven't done. I think majority of Australians haven't seen a wilder Pally. Okay. So nothing else? Okay. It's like one of those quiet nights where everybody's just a little bit secluded and reclusive. I don't know if that's the right word to do. So, so that's what I've got planned for the channel. We'll get Troy on this week. I'm hoping to see a few guys up in Sydney and do some video in their collections, or not in their collections. We'll find a nice place to sit down and have a coffee, maybe have a glass of water, because I'm not I don't drink anymore. Michelle says maybe in Victoria on a demonstrator's license. I have no reservations that will happen, because it's just a matter of filling in the paper. If you're a demonstrators, I wouldn't be surprised if places like Lilydale High School already has one behind lock and key. Apparently there'll be one at the Vic Expo as well, just to remind people that the Victorian Herpetological Society's got their expo, I think. When is the, let me just check, the Sydney Expo, when is the first one? Because it's always the one, I can't remember who had that on their page. I think, who had that on their page? The first expo is usually the Sydney Reptile Expo. Then it's Victoria on the 29th. The weekend after the Vic Reptile Expo, it's Penrith. And then there's, I think, one more up north that I don't have an interest in going to. But it'd be good. To see a few of the guys up in Sydney. Got a few plans to go see a few people. It's so tough these days with all these viruses and things around to go and visit people, because I don't think I'd let anybody into my collection these days unless I know that they didn't have reptiles. That's what I do. So it's a little bit more laid back tonight. Here we go. And Pallies look like they will be added to the New South Wales list in the upcoming review, which should be sweet. Just depend when it gets finalised. Okay. Yeah, New South Wales again, 23rd February. There we go. 23rd February, Sydney Expo. And then, hey dude, Corey, how are you going, mate? Yeah, and I don't think, there's so many species. As I bitched and as I moaned on Friday, the negative wave of negativity on Friday, was that, we, in Victoria, it's a 10-year cycle. Every other state, what did I hear? It's 5 years. I think it's 5 years. In Victoria, we had a review on the in 2014. So the next review is in 2024. What? And then there's no guarantee that anything's going to be added. I think even with the last review, there wasn't many species added to it. So yeah, 8th of March is Penrith. So I don't know what Victoria always seems to be dragging their feet. The good thing about it, though, is that when they released the rough scale pythons in New South Wales, I think they were $25,000 a pair. And by the time Victoria was allowed to have it, they came with, I think they were $800 each. So I guess it spares our wallet. We end up with right at the bottom of the ladder when it comes to adding stuff on our species. But we shouldn't complain. It's always said that there's like 350 species we're allowed to keep. So that's that's the privilege. We're allowed to keep 350 species. I'm allowed to keep only the ones off license. So for now, hopefully down the line at some stage I'm allowed to dabble in that type of thing again. But I think this is a bigger cause to get going. Is an actual news channel for Australia where people can come in, log in once a week and catch up. Maybe have a section of the breeder. That's just I'm sitting here having ideas on how to format the show. That's crazy that your brain can work like that. So I think a good format for the show would be to have just a chin wag, 20 minutes or whatever, then maybe getting somebody or catching up on what's happening out there, when the events are, what's happened the week before, if anybody had good successes. I mean, it's a place to showcase your achievements as well. I like to see what guys are making. It's cool. I mean, I don't have to keep them anymore. I just look at the pictures, and hopefully they take decent pictures too, so you can look at the pictures. And then maybe have a breeder section where people can, and then we've asked if there'll be a chance to ask the guys questions. Yeah, and then we'll close off the show. 20 minutes, I'm struggling here tonight. There's not much activity here. 19 people are dropping off. Yeah, maybe Sunday night. So it's a little bit late for a Sunday night. People are crawling into bed already watching their shows, Have any good stories? Oh, wow. I've got good stories. Wow. Good stories, bad luck stories, good luck stories. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many of them. Maybe not the right place to talk about them right now. But yeah, no, not yet. There'll be a good story happening in this month, at least in the Victorian courts, and then I'll broadcast on that maybe next month. I don't know. It's been dragging on for 12 months in Victoria. So this whole syndicate that's been uncovered in Victoria with all the blue tongues and the things that's been shipped out and stuff like that. That'd be a good story to report on. So I'm hoping to go and see the situation go into and have a look at the case. Have the pleas and see who was doing what. So I know exactly what was going on. I wouldn't want to report on something that's not the truth, because in this day and age, you can get into some serious trouble for slander on the internet. So I'm doing PHP SQL assignment while listening. Yeah, that's something you can do. You can just put it on the background. I think if you've got a YouTube Plus account, you could actually listen to the sound. But then you have to pay for YouTube. I don't know. It's good. It's not a bad service. You don't have to pay for it. You don't get any of the ads on it. And man, those ads on YouTube can drive you nuts. So hopefully soon there'll be. I'm chatting to somebody about doing some product overviews, product reviews. I'd like to discuss new things like thermostats I'm a big. I like fancy gear. I really do. I started using a data logging system last year that's Wi-Fi enabled, that actually gives you that keeps track of everything that happens in your incubator. That has a probe outside the incubator that measures your room temperature, and a probe that sits inside the incubator that you can actually stick into a tub. And it just data logs and sends you warnings and all that type of stuff, and has a cool app that you can look back and see what the humidity and temperature and everything does over that period. So I'll just have to get the unit so I can show you guys what to do. But I mean, it fascinates me. There's so many ways to make sure your animals are safe and your reptile eggs are safe, and people are still cooking their eggs during breeding season and cooking their snakes in summer, and all this stuff is available if you're willing to spend $100. You know, it always fascinates me how people can keep massive collections of expensive reptiles and not have those safety protocols in order for when, you know, when I used to work down at, or when we had Sika, you know, after I left there, and you know, long story, that would be a good story as well, but I'd leave it for I'll do a show just on that. But after I left there, the guy that was in charge down there decided to remove all the data logging and temperature. And I thought, and the whole place was filled with styrofoam and flammable things, you know. I thought, who does that in their right mind, you know? Take away the safety measures that's put in place to make sure that your animals are okay. You know, I don't understand the reasoning. Sorry, that's the negativity coming in. I need to get the positive up again. So somebody give me something positive, please. Insult me or something so I can go on about that. No more insults. We're turning out a new leaf. Yeah? No more. That book, that chapter is closed. From now on, it's just positive and entertaining. You know, I'm hoping we're entertaining here. You know, good content. That's all we want. Good content. I don't want any rubbish. It has to be good content. So tonight's, it fluctuates. I can see the numbers go up and go down. Probably people are just tuning in and saying, this guy's talking rubbish. Let's move on. But hopefully, you know, we'll have Troy on. I think that will really, we'll see. We'll get Troy on and see how we go. I don't want to make I don't want to make premature, you know, judgments on that. I think that'd be a good show. I think just catching up with Troy and seeing how he is. You know, I think a lot of people would really be interested in seeing how he's doing, and I'm hoping he's doing all right. You know, it's a tough one, man. Kidneys. My grandfather passed away from kidney failure. You know, and I understand, you know, I never knew him that, you know, I was only 8 or something when he passed away. You know, it's one of those things that I never get to, and it was in a time when kidney transplants were really in its infancy and stuff. But, you know, like there's a lot of people that are touched by that type of this disease. Is it a disease? I think, yeah, it's a kidney failure, you know, it's a disease. So, I hope you're doing all right, mate. I really do. And it'd be nice to have you on board. And it'd be nice to hear what Denver's up to. You know, another guy, his brother that's also, he's always been a little bit more reserved than Troy. Troy's a big personality. You know, I really do think that our communities needs more of these larger than life personalities to really get, you know, people get hooked. People get hooked on the person, you know. It's that they make nice looking snakes, but people really get hooked on the breeder. Just for the record, might not be many people watching now, but I think the last video got like 4,000 or 5,000 views. So on YouTube, I saw it was like 13 hours of view, which is it's a start, you know. Like I said as well, you know, like I'm not interested in millions of followers. I mean, I grew carpet python. Sorry, I'm getting totally off topic now, but you know, we'll bring Troy on board and we'll talk about him then, you know, find out what he's up to, you know, what his plans are. I don't think he's breeding, but I mean, there's lots of stories there and history there that can be discussed, you know, like Troy and his mum Joy and Denver, they all were involved in Scales and Tails. You know, they brought the first, it always used to be Reptiles Australia. Was it Reptiles Australia, the magazine that Simon Wathrow had? And then Scales and Tails came on board. And, you know, like I was involved in the VHS. I was a president for a year, and I remember it was so hard to come up with articles for magazines, you know. And it was a mountain. I think that was a hard, you know, like they were very, like the Kulagowskis are very loved in the industry, you know, and even they found it hard to find content and stuff in the era, you know, like people don't, it's easy to say you'll do something, but it's hard to get articles out of people to write. Even the Monitor magazine, when I was the editor of that, they it was hard to get content. I had to reach out to Dave Barker and guys like that, and to see if I can get older articles of them, to put into there. Yeah, that's true, Deb. Troy, I'll get to that, Jeremy. We'll have a chat to that. Yeah, Troy's always been, regardless of how shitty life is, regardless of what lemons life give you, he always made it into lemonade, and it's hard to see him because years ago, they came down to always come and sell their Scales and Tails magazines at the expos, and I went and picked him up from the airport, and man, we had it was just reptile guys. Reptile people are funny. That they just click. Some people, I don't know, there's always assholes as well. Yeah, and I used to be an asshole for the longest time. But hopefully people can see I've changed. I'm trying to change. It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. But for the longest time, I talk to him at least once a week. And to see, I believe that he's a strong guy. He's strong mentally. So I doubt that it's going to get him under for long. But he's always had a great attitude. Yeah, I agree with that. I really do. And there's a few people like that. Even Wayne, Deb, even Wayne, he could be. I've seen him stand and talk at a reptile conference, man, and the guy's leg was jumping around and stuff. And if you know what happened to him with his back years ago, his back is fucked. He's one of those guys that constantly need painkilling. Otherwise, you just can't function in a day. And, for that first conference we had in Victoria, everybody flew up here and he stood there and he did he was barefoot, but I guess that's a way for him to relieve some of the pressure in his back. But, he stood there for an hour and he gave a rundown of, and it was very informative, about his anti-carpet pythons. Just because the older generation, and I'm not even that old, we're talking between, I'm going to just say 45 because I'm 45. But I say between 40 and 60, I reckon, is the age bracket where we start getting pressured to pass on what we know to people. Because I think we're worried that it goes lost. I look at my mum, how many people can you find that can still just make food from memory? Recipes that's been passed on to them by their mum, and that information goes lost in time. And that's what I'm saying as well. We've got books that can tell us everything about the history of carpets and how to keep them. And, usually those books are written by Americans. I was fortunate enough to be involved in that keeping and breeding Australian pythons that Mike Swan put together. What was that, 2006, and he contacted me because at that stage there wasn't many guys that actually had an interest in mutations, and I guess probably it's because we would have done that for free. I would talk about mutations and reptiles for free anytime, just because I love the things. You just have to be around me to go, fuck yeah, this guy's crazy, like most of us, crazy about reptiles. And Mike's wanted to, that I worry about not having the sounding. I'm worried that what I know goes missing, especially with the type of shitty information that's out there these days. And I'm sure a lot of other guys would be the same. I wouldn't be the only one. I'm sure that's why Deb has these big get-togethers up in Queensland. To keep the community strong there, and it's a great place to just share. Because online people hold back, and I remember when I was heavy involved in that. You don't disclose everything. You can never tell everything. And it's become more and more like people are getting more. It used to be just let's show the world how awesome, what the shit is. And then people started becoming more reserved and showing less and less and less and less and less and less. And it's just because people were screenshotting and then sending it to their mates and screenshotting, and people were bullshitting, and jealousy gets into play and stuff like that. And I'm not going to get negative. I'm not going to do that. I promise myself I'm not going to do that anymore. But hopefully this can be a positive thing. So to get back to Troy, we'll get Troy on. I spoke to Brent from KHP Reptiles, another top breeder in my opinion, up in New South Wales, and I'm just not saying that. I can't get any snakes, so I'd love to come and raid your room, but I'm not allowed to. Okay, and then hopefully some other guys, maybe Wayne. Yeah, Wayne. Yeah, let's do it. I know you love to have a chat about it. You know, you sit there having maybe a few other guys. Maybe see if Steve Crawford can come on, and I don't know. He's also very busy. And I said, what? Snake morph. And maybe a few other guys. So I get distracted because this shit pops up on the screen here and it's everywhere here. And it's like, I wish I could take a photo here of what's going on here, but it's like a bloody nerve net, you know, and I have to make sure everything's going all right here and the live stream's going all right. Let me just see if that's still going. And there's stuff happening there and little screens there that I can click on and, you know, go over here and do stuff like this and that, and you know, it's just very busy. You know, maybe I should just switch off some of these comments because I can see them running here, but then nobody knows what everybody else says. So, what snake morph do you think brings the most to growing the reptile keeping scene in Australia? Having seen lay people get absolutely stoked with marble children's, I'd have to say that they take it from me. You know, I really don't know. I really don't. You know, when you're in the industry, you know, the industry is made up of different segments. So you'll have your top guys right at the top. And I said it on Friday night, you get so used to what you've got. If you've got a great collection, they just become like more normal carpets. You know, but there's dollar values. Of course, you keep it in the back of your mind that you're working. But a $10,000 snake is the same amount of work as a $50 snake. But for the future of the industry in this country, I think it's just still your common stuff. Pretty jungles were never a big starter snake. I don't think it'd be. Jungles have always been a popular snake because they're pretty. But people are making less and less jungles. Jaguars are a little bit more. I think Jags are a little bit more. You know, people are worried about the neuro. You know, so I mean that's the thing that we need to educate them about. I mean, all the years that I worked with Jags, I mean, I never had major issues with them. Hi, Stephen. Thank you. And I saw marbles the other day, and I think I really think marbles are a very underdeveloped gene. I think marbles are going to have a massive. I do think marbles are going to have a massive impact. For me, not so much because I don't like the size. Okay, for your average guys that go into a pet shop, I think blue tongues. I really do. But then you get a blue tongue and there we go. Good luck. But then for blue tongue, more Lace wanted to talk. We'll see if I can get David Kirschen on. Of course, that's always a popular guest. But I think blue tongues are very important. I really do. Not the top stuff. You know, if I had to breed blue tongues, I'd stick with black ones and white ones. Because they eye-catching, they're striking, and the newer stuff, you know, like for the discerning taste or discerning, buyer, I think it's very, you know, it's very cryptic, the differences between the multi-gene animals now. So I don't think that's going to drive the market. When you've got the guys that are buying the black blue tongues and white blue tongues now and albino blue tongues now, maybe 10 years, maybe 5 or 6 years from now, when it's really, I think it will really take off. I really think, I don't know if I haven't been in the sales side of things. I can't see that. I know a lot of normal bluey sell still, anything off license. So I think the first step has to be that if we can get together, and I say it in every show, if we can manage to pull the brain trust, because there's a lot of baggage in the industry. If you can bring the guys that have the drive, and I'm talking about the guys that, it doesn't have to be the big names. There's a lot of people behind the scenes in the industry that are working that would really push towards
getting rid of some of the licensing that restrict us from getting more people. Like, I mean, it'd be nice to go to an expo. Victoria's okay. Victoria's good because we've got blue tongues, there's turtles, so your basic stuff's covered down here. But there's a lot of other states that you can't just go to an expo and just buy a couple of basic animals to get that experience. There's a big process involved in it. South Australia now have taken a lot of species off the list if you have like one or two, I think. I think that's the clause, though. But I do think that we need to have... the licensing is a big part of what really blows the hobby, that pushes the scene forward. And it's a real steep curve. I said it on Friday. I keep saying I said it on Friday, but I did say it on Friday. I think we really... we need something that's accessible. It has to be accessible, and then there can't be like you can't force people to fill in the book and stuff like that when it's an accessible species, so that they can. Falling in love with a reptile is like it's those small little things every day that you do. Like I watch the show. I watch a lot of motivational stuff. And it's like. It's like learning a new skill. It's the repetition and the consistency that gets you there. So for a reptile keeper to really get crazy about reptiles, they need to be able to do that every day for a little bit, every day for 2 or 3 years, for that love. Some people love it immediately. I loved reptiles it was a slow curve for me. I liked dinosaurs, and I loved bugs, and then I loved frogs, and then I loved, I started to keep, I always liked animals, and then just for me, it was just a switch that went off when I saw my first chameleon. Really loved it, granites are also good. I think granites and peppers, but they're very similar, so I don't know but let me say, so I think to get our industry forward, we need to work on getting the lawmakers to see that there's self-regulation within our industry. Because, to be honest, there's no uniting body that looks after us, okay? Where we can handle the shit internally, and not have the government involved in that stuff. And I just think they just don't trust us. There's guys like me and the old me, and there's other guys out there that push the boundaries and just keep fucking making it hard for them to go, okay, well, the industry's matured, we could maybe trust them. Reptiles keepers just can't be trusted. I think it's just one of those stigma. But, reptiles and bikes and tattoos and drugs and all that stuff, that's the perception that people have when it comes to reptiles. And, keeping it, it frustrates me that we still, have Facebook pages, but we don't have websites for when you're a serious guy in the industry. And it seems like it's moving backwards. Everybody sort of jumped on the pages now that Facebook's clamping down on sales. People are still not moving in that direction. They're still trying to do shit for free on Facebook. I've had a whinge about this already. We need to really mature the industry. The only way to do that is to market. We need to market the industry. We need to market the fact that we need to market ourselves better. We need to, we can't be like, I follow a lot of branding, online branding, and creating a brand for yourself. That's the way the world's going now with what they're doing. So you have your website that when you're a reptile keeper, you have a website that you can advertise your snakes on and stuff that keeps you safe from the shit that Facebook and all the social media does. Because it's just a matter of time before they clamp down on again. And we're still just trying to work the system. We're working against artificial intelligence that, oh, look at this. Yeah, we've got the reptile classifieds as well. Fuzzy Fox, What's your Andy? Shaggy. I remember you as Shaggy, huh? I see that. I see Shaggy when I see But we've got the classifieds. Yeah, that's a great classified site to find the stuff on. But if you want to go a little bit more serious, and you can be a sponsor, and then you can go on those classifieds, and then you can have a sponsored link that takes you to your website. And we, everybody takes photos with iPhones, like go out and get somebody to take you nice photos. I mean, there's a few, man, I can help with that. I'd love to help out guys. I mean, I helped George on Friday. He contacted me. I helped him with a logo and stuff, because some people and it's not to blow smoke up my ass, but I've got a peculiar set of skills for a snake breeder. I can build websites and I can do graphic design, and it's all self-taught stuff. It's not hard to learn that stuff. But it helps to have somebody in a reptile industry that can help you do that, and that have done that, have developed a brand, and just, we all know how that ended. But I'm still here. But if I can help guys, I help Brent with KHP Reptiles, just designing logos and, displays for the expos and stuff like that, because it's one package. If you want to brand yourself, I can help you with that. And this is not a plug, this is a little bit of a plug for me. So if you need help with that type of stuff, I can help you. If you're a young guy and you want to go and say, look, I'm going to have to charge you a little bit because my time's, any time costs you something. But it's not going to be as much as some of the professional people out there that does that. But I'd love to see our industry evolve into brand conscious. The breeders have got their own way they do it. That's something that Joe does really well with the blue tongue. He's right up there. I think I sold him some Het Albinos carpets, originally. So we sort of started to do stuff together. And Joe did that. Got Shannon Plummer to take photos of his blue tongues. He still uses those photos. What's it, 15 years later, 10 years later? You get the website going. Yeah, true. A website helps build trust and confidence and shows everyone, including the authorities, you're taking it serious. Yes. And it shows you that you're not being cryptic and dodgy. Although sometimes, you just do that and you still do the dodgy shit. But I'll tell those good stories down the line when you guys like me. Enough. But some of the big issue is the perception from the animal rights lobby. They lobby in multiple states to prevent relaxing. Yeah, you got a big issue. If it's one thing that I learned with all the shit that I went through, is that the standard person out there doesn't give a shit. The newspaper, I contacted, when I was going through all my drama, I contacted every news company. I contacted the only people that were into was 60 Minutes. And they were saying, it has to really, we're interested in doing a story, but then, it was over Christmas and whatever. So if we think that the general public gives a shit about reptiles, then you're thinking wrong, because they don't. Reptiles feature very low, extremely low, on what people think about out there. Okay? So we need to. I just saw the US ARC now again. In Florida, they're trying to ban tegus and stuff like that. Iguanas permanently now. And there's some of the biggest breeders in the world down there that deals in tegus and iguanas. And luckily, they have US ARC down there. I'm not saying it's going to work down there, and I don't like to scaremonger, because it's been how many years and we haven't had. Let me just have a drink here. My mouth, the coffee's just not good. We've been talking about this for so. I hope this doesn't spray everywhere. Hang on, my bloody soda water. Oh, it's 20. There's still people watching. Thank you very much. Must be the face. Must be this face. There we go. The smile, the cheesy grin. The Cheshire cat. There we go. Cheshire cat. I can't have this stuff spraying over my equipment. Hang on. Let me just get. Sorry, it's just out of the bottle. I'm just a bogan. There we go. Sorry, that probably make me a little bit windy. There we go. So, but we can't be slack. It's been like, no, we're okay. Then Facebook comes with the AI. The problem is we against artificial intelligence now on social media. So do yourself a favor. If it hasn't occurred to you before, maybe reach out to somebody like me. Little plug for myself. Reach out. If you're interested in doing websites, I can help you out with that, or I can put you in the right direction. Because there's certain things that you need to know before you start getting hosting and with domains and stuff. It's not exorbitantly expensive, because all a website has to do is it has to put you in touch with your customers. And you need to be able to supply your email. They need to be able to get you an email, and you need to be able to load up your animals. There's a little bit of lag there on the sound, I think. So sorry if there's a delay with the sound. You might see the lips moving and there's no sound out of it. But I'm really concerned that I can see that people are still, we had some of the biggest groups. Deb's group got just pulled down. I hope you don't think it was me. I've got better things to do with my time than go report groups and shit like that. I honestly think that it was. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the government that had a finger in that to say, look, but we, especially in Australia, because there's a lot of black market stuff happening in groups that are secret and stuff like that. And I think Facebook's just covering their ass. I think they've just had so much pressure from the authorities worldwide that they had to do something about it. So cover yourself. Look at getting a website. I mean, GoDaddy is a good website. I mean, we're talking about a whole bunch of stuff. Sorry if that's, I see there's a few have dropped. They've probably gone to bed. But you know, there's a few places that you can go and look for. Get yourself a website. You know, get yourself a logo. You know, I spoke to Brent this week. New South Wales still has that ridiculous law at the expos that you can't have your logo and business name featured somewhere on the back of you. So they've, you know, that's the weirdest thing to see, is to go to New South Wales at an expo and see all these guys with their AKL numbers and their name and surname on there. You know, that's the best marketing they can do. How ridiculous is that? It really is ridiculous. But then on the other side, how many of us, I used to pay tax, so it's okay. I used to pay tax on what I bred and stuff and business that I did. But how many people in the reptile industry pay tax? I wouldn't be surprised if that's the next thing that they clamp down on, is the ATO starts going after people that are registered, you know, because they can find you on Facebook. You know, they can find you on Facebook. I might just be mumbling shit now, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the next thing that they target. You know, income through animal sales, or, you know, people reporting people that they're breeding snakes, or they realize, because the government likes to get a buck of everything that we make. You know, I just look at my pay slip every week and I go, fuck, you know, it's only a matter of time. So I don't know. That type of stuff we can help. That type of stuff we can have a big society. Like and we always talk about it, man. We always talk. Went through lengthy appeals and got our 15K member reptile group back. It's an information and chat group only with no sales allowed. Oh, okay. I don't even know that. So you went through the appeal process, but it would have been a massive job, and you'd still have people that go in there and ask how much, you know. So how long does it last? And ATO definitely tracks people through Facebook. Of course they do. Of course. And then when the ATO, I mean, in the good old days, I remember getting $10,000 from overseas. And the ATO, 2 years later, the ATO found that money. And they said to me, oh, what's this? In that year you made X amount. We'll tack this onto there unless you can show us that this was a donation or something like that. And I had to pay tax. Oh, I took years to pay that tax back because it was such a large, it was almost the whole 10,000. I should have just declared it I should have just said, look, keep the money on that side if I knew that was going to back. Yep, true. Earns enough from reptiles to even pay tax. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of big sales happening behind doors, closed doors and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't care. I just think it's something to be wary of. Is that they haven't copped on yet, and I should maybe not even discuss this here because they can see that type of shit. So sorry if I got anybody in trouble. But at the end of the day, you know, if we want to be taken serious as an industry, then that is something that we have to look at. If we need to be legitimately taken serious by the government and be said, look, oh, well, you guys are just backyard breeders, you know, we can't, you know, it's not really classified as a business. We should work towards making the reptile industry serious, as a serious that it should be taken serious for what it is, because I can guarantee you it can be very serious. I mean, we attended, I mean, that's where I met Troy. And Joy was at the conference that Neil Simpson, our old mate, had up in Cairns. And there was a talk by Alan Rapashi there where he discussed the reptile industry. Sorry, this has got nothing to do with carpets, but, you know, tough shit. But Alan Rapashi had a talk there about the whole the reptile industry in the US and how it's 50-1. They are 50 times bigger than we are, population-wise. It's probably more now. But they only have about 100 reptile breeders over there. And he said something like ridiculous, like, you know, if you work out the numbers, there should only be room in Australia for 1 or 2 professional guys because the population just can't carry that many professional breeders. But this doesn't stop, you know, like, I don't know, you know, like I mean, that's a that's a dreary thing to think about. So I don't like to think that we will stay on it as a hobby. You know, we will still be classified as hobbies 10 years from now on. You know, like I really want to see the industry grow and be taken a little bit more serious. You know, and have a united front for. How many times have I heard united front in my life in the reptile industry? It's just, I don't know if it's possible. I'd like to be proven wrong. And I want to work towards it to see if it can be fixed. Like I think the more I think about this conference, the more I think, man, we should do it, man. You know, the good thing is we had the support. I had the support in those days. It's hard to garner that, but I'm not going to be negative. We just have to do it. You're allowed to earn money from a hobby to cover costs. Yeah, you can. I mean, you can. I think 70,000 is the cap for hobby income, and anything after that. But I'm not sure if it's the same. If you market yourself, if you have logos, and I mean, this totally defeats the purpose of me having a discussion about branding and stuff like that. You know, as soon as you operate yourself as like a business, then you classify it as a business. It's very gray area, you know. Playing Area by Magnus the Magnus. Oh shit! Yeah, so Siri just did a. Oh shit! Hang on, Siri. Okay, Siri just decided to talk by herself here. That's crazy, isn't it? Let me just switch this phone off. Then I hope the video doesn't get taken down. See, because if I copyright infringe by having music that I didn't pay for on this channel, they take the video down on YouTube. So everything's technical. World's so sensitive these days. Earns enough from reptiles, you're allowed to earn money from a hobby to cover costs. Yes, imagine the amount of tax expense claims, the amount of keepers running at a loss versus the handful of big breeders actually making good profits. Yep. Jan, just out of curiosity, then would that then mean that you need to keep a portfolio of the expenses paid towards the hobby in order to demonstrate expenses versus income? Okay, yes. So yeah, you have to. I mean, that's what I did. But it's hard to track snakes. I know Simon Stone used to. Simon Stone, if that's something he did well, was he ran Southern Cross like a business. And I remember, you know, when I couldn't, you know, like anybody that bought a snake from Simon had to pay GST. And he ran everything to the books because he knew that it's better to just be honest with the tax office than it is to be caught out and being audited, you know? So it's a tough one, the hobby versus real income, you know. But if you've got a full-time job, you know, where do you draw? You know, how much can you market yourself online? You know, it's very grey area, very grey. And I don't, you know, the demonstrators, I think, I mean, they pretty, you know, they run everything through the books. Whether they run stuff through the books, I don't know. But that's just one thing, you know. Like but it would be so good if we can have a group of elders, and I don't have to be part of it if that's an issue, but it would be so good if we've got a group of elders in every state that can sit together, because we can communicate like this, have meetings like this, and that are sort of overseeing what happens in that state, especially when it comes to dealing with the government, and sort of put their minds together if they get stuck. And you know, USARK have got lawyers that work for them that are reptile keepers. I'm so sure that there would be lawyers and solicitors and barristers that keep reptiles in Australia. It's just, but you know, I don't think people talk like that. Within our community, we would have the right people for the job to look out for everybody. And this might just be talk. I think talking about it, you know, starting a conversation is always good to steer things in that. And then, you know, like we're also stuck in our lives and busy with our own things and whatever, you know, like it's tough to get people to just actually contribute. But it's, you know, all we need is like the shit that happened in Queensland 2 years ago. I don't even know where that is at the moment, you know, with how they were saying, I just want to check the time, hour and 20 minutes, man, that flies. I'm not even sure where they are at the moment. I haven't heard anything about the licensing that they want to prohibit species and stuff. It's been very quiet. But, you know, it just takes a little bit of a political disorganization, and then they'll be on the cards to show that somebody's doing their job again. You know, that's how it works in this country. Unfortunately, Prime Minister there's a reshuffle, and then suddenly everybody's running to justify their jobs. So I don't want to keep boring you. Like, I need to get to bed as well. But the numbers are up again. 25. Like, I don't know. People are up at. I said it's 10 o'clock. Let's go for a little bit longer. If you guys want to go for a little bit longer, but you guys have to be a little bit more proactive here. Come on, it can't just be Joe, Luke. Thanks for commenting. Hi, Luke. How you going, mate? What else was it? We missed something here. So yes, the ATO tracks. So good tip, man. Invest in a small little website. Talk to somebody in the industry that can build websites. I mean, you don't have to talk to me. I'm just saying I can help you if you're looking for something. If you're looking for a logo, if you're looking for something that just makes your Facebook page look a little bit better. But I really do think that it's going to be a time will come where it's going to be very hard to put shit on. It's going to be very hard to put stuff online without it being taken down if it involves any form of reptile. If it has the contact me for price. Or no, what's the words that the people use now? I've seen people go, PM me or direct message me or whatever if you want to talk. Man, come on, they'll catch up. They'll find, but for now, that's just reptile keepers. Ugh, we've all done it. Me being a hypocrite. Yeah, well, we find ways. Well, you bend the. It's part of the package, It's a reptile people are crazy fuckers, huh? Are we all just crazy fuckers? Some just push the some just push the boundaries a little bit too much, and then there's others that are too goody two shoes. But most of us just fall sort of in the middle there, where it's like, oh, you got something that's nice, you see something nice, it goes great. Yeah, PM me, mate. Yeah. Right, what's the price? And then price, please. Like, no, hello. Oh, we could talk about that. Time wasters. I've got friends that spend way too much money on reptiles. They know who they are. All of us spend way too. Oh my God, crazy. Everything, time wasting. It's like, yeah, you don't know. The best deterrent I've found over the years is to say, here's my number, call me. Who's this? Is this somebody next door? Hello? Sorry, my people are still awake. Sorry, a little bit unprofessional there. I just thought somebody was calling me. I've got my kids. It's just 10 o'clock. I thought it was later. It's because we started a little bit earlier. And the numbers are going up. I can't believe it. Friday night, the numbers are going up. A little bit of South African entertainment, South African in Australia entertainment. I'm starting to go delirious. I've had these late nights because I just can't sleep. But time wasters, So do yourself a favor. If you've got snakes that you have to for sale and somebody asks you price, just tell them, if you want a serious buyers, would call you. No texting. In our day and age, people don't like to talk on the phone. So if somebody really wants an animal, they will call you. It's the best deterrent for a time waster is to say, here's my number, give me a call and we can talk. Oh, no. And then you don't hear anything from that person, Time wasters is such a drain. Yeah, I know. My favorite, looking for a snake. Show me what you got. Got cash. Yeah, and then they've got the money, the pack of money. Like, bang, here we go. The notes, the pineapples lying there, and just like a whole handful of them. And you go, really, mate? Come on. Huh? And it's not even, it's probably just a picture they got off internet. Mama's wallet that they raided, Yeah. Little school gated community, somebody that wants to buy a snake for his little, So, yeah, I'm glad that I don't miss that at all. I don't miss time wasters. And it seems to be a lot of complaining about that these days. I might just be one of the privileged to not be able to deal with people that waste time. And for the people that are joining the show now, how are you? Please join in. We're just starting to loosen up now at 10 past 10, Gotta ask the missus. Oh, classic. The worst ones are the ones that say that they're dying from some disease, and I mean, you get some people that are just have absolutely no moral fiber, and you go, really, and then you see they've got photos of them going on a cruise. I go, come on, really? Just tell me, just be straight up. Say, I can't afford it. I was wasting your time.
Yeah, fuck off. Like that's as simple as that. Just don't waste time. Time is precious. People don't realize that. You lose. I lost a very good friend last year. I think that's one of a non-reptile reptile person, but just suddenly, and I think that gave me a little bit of perspective on life as well. It's it's too short, and it's too, especially when you get to our age, you start to crawl into that bracket where you could just fall over from a heart attack, and to die with all those issues and all that resentment and anger and stuff inside you. It's not good. I'm so glad there's a few people here that I haven't spoken to in ages that are commenting here and stuff, and I just bygones be bygones. So heard someone overseas charging for pics. Oh yeah, I think I shared something on Reptile News. So this is the other page, Reptile News. You guys didn't know? Go like it. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of stuff. I'm so sick of. I'm not sick. I can't believe it exploded like that. For the longest time, I thought the Facebook algorithm was working against pages. And then I realized, but you just have to post stuff that people want to see. Because for us people here, sitting here talking, and that's used to reptiles, I'm going to say it again. I said it on Friday. I'll probably be repeating myself a lot in these shows because I'm trying to get a little bit of experience. This is just exercise. This is exercise until we go like full on interviews and stuff like that. But for the longest time, I thought the algorithm was working against growing pages because, there was no growth and stuff. I see my Carpet Pythons page is up and down at the moment because people are seeing that it's me and then they're leaving and people then find out, but it's not that bad and they come back. I see people liking and unliking and liking and unliking. So, and then, you start posting, you start a page like a generalized reptile page that just shares some of the best content that's on the internet. And you can just see it explode. I think I've had 1,000 likes in the last 2 days on that page, just from sharing 2 or 3 photos. People don't know what a snake bite looks like. It's weird stuff. Chameleon and a blue chondro. For us, it's like stuff that we've been following for years. To get back to heard someone overseas charging for Kevin for this for pics overseas. I saw somebody, Ursula Burden up in Cairns. I posted a link the other day of somebody that was using monitor breeders' photos to sell stuff from Hum. Now that's a very common scam over in Europe. Is people posting photos online of animals that don't belong to them because it's such a big industry that it's sometimes people that slips under the radar, but people still get caught. I mean, the biggest scam was at the Puma. I think it was the Puma. What was it? The Puma. Was it a Puma? That black carpet python over there, where the guy actually spray painted the thing, and it took big money from Precision Reptiles and all those guys over there selling heads and stuff. And Ursula said to me, this guy in Europe was actually using her pictures to sell stuff. And it was like, really? It's amazing. It's like Andy would know on Reptile Classified. The biggest complaint there that I saw was that, these ads were sneaking through of people using photos. I mean, I saw an ad there for, I think it was white hypo blue tongues, and it was just, you could see it was just a spit and paste, copy and paste ad. That was a while back. I think it was before you owned the thing. But I saw a copy and paste ad there for hypo blue tongues. It was like $500 a lizard, and it was photos of just normal blue tongues in there. And I thought, like, this is such a classic. And then there was like edited photos, and normally you can see with our phones these days, it's a very good tell. With our phones, anything that comes off the internet would have been resized and when you upload it, it would have been re-up. And you can always see, like, if somebody's uploaded a photo, there's usually metadata. I think maybe you say metadata. So there's data included in the picture if you click on Facebook. And you could usually see the Google link on there. So there are ways, and if the resolution's low, you can usually know that it's a picture of a picture, or it's a downloaded picture or something like that, because it's hard to just get. You need to know on Google what to look for to get high definition pictures. So something to look out for. If you see an ad, there's different tells on fake ads online, fake news. We can tell fake news, scourge of our time.
Yeah, so that's it. I don't know if there's anything else we need to discuss. I mean, it's I don't want to go too late. Oh, here we go. Bryce Grills. Posted weekly finds and catches is what I'm liking. Good to see. What's going on around with wild caught animals? Yeah, we've had a great month, haven't we? That bluey that got found in New South Wales. That's just a honeypot of mutations, and then it ends up. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I used to be a big promoter of if it's a mutation and it's in the wild, and do we need to take it into captive? I mean, I don't know. How do you guys feel? It's there's stuff. Things are starting to pop up now because people know to look out for that stuff. A few years back, I mean, nobody knew what they were doing, or nobody knew what they were looking for. So it was a little bit harder to find new mutations. But now people are sort of aware that something looks different. And I think that lady that found that blue tongue, she didn't have a clue what she found. But then, us reptile people just, they bombarded her with requests to get a hold of it, and a lot of people just, if it belongs if they find it in the bush, it stays in the bush. So I don't know how I feel about it. I would probably be a promoter of that going into captivity if it was if everybody had a fair chance to secure it. I wouldn't be surprised if it pops up though. The snake ranch, I mean, the Australian Reptile Park, I don't know. I think with the state of affairs with all these blue tongues going overseas, being smuggled overseas, I think the government would really be clamping down on those type of things ending up in private hands. And, we've got only our own to blame for that, It would have been nice if it was, ended up in the snake ranch. Snake ranch doesn't exist anymore, but that used to be the funnel. The Australian Reptile Park, and then the Australian Reptile Park doesn't really have an interest in that type of stuff, so it ended up a snake ranch, and through snake ranch, things used to end up in private hands. Also at a massive expense. At a cost, of course. And a lot of the guys, there's a certain amount of work that's involved in establishing something like that in the industry. And if you're starting from one animal, there is a certain amount of risk. So, guys don't pay a lot of money for mutation because it's just easy. I mean, one of my biggest things was I started with one albino knobtail gecko, male, and fortunately he was okay. He bred. One of my things that really showed me how tough it can be. That little lizard, luckily he mated with females and they were gravid, and then that male just rolled over, and I was like, oh shit, that's how easy a project can be over. You could spend $40,000 on an animal, and that animal can literally roll over the next day and be dead, and you're out of that type of money. Going to a reptile park somewhere. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, it did end up going. What's a fair way of an animal like that coming in, especially in states without legal wild take? I mean, the Lucy Slaty Grey went through a similar take a few years ago. It's just nobody cares about Slaties. I know. I don't know. I don't think there's a fair way, and I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be getting harder and harder. Now with blueies blue tongues are a perfect example of this. There was always free movement of those things or whatever, and then I noticed for the last few years, I would say for the last 3 years maybe, you just didn't see blue tongues around any, but you saw them overseas. You saw them, and I know a bit about this type of stuff. And you just saw this stuff popping up overseas, lots of them, like everywhere in Asia that these things started popping up. And then a massive syndicate was uncovered in Victoria, So now blue tongues are on the radar for their monetary value overseas. It becomes really harder. It becomes a lot harder for something like a blue tongue to end up in private hands, because now the government goes, okay, well, we know these things are highly sought after overseas. And the permits, it stays with you until it dies, and there's no movement. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but if I worked for a government, if I was involved in that, if I was a government official and I was combating poaching and smuggling, and seeing what these animals are worth, I mean, I'll be very surprised if I see any of that type of stuff pop up. It's just, and I mean the penalties now for smuggling, man, it's fucking ridiculous. It's harsh. It's really harsh. Marty Kennedy from the Snake Ranch. And I don't. It's a tough one. It's really tough penalties for doing that type of stuff. So I highly recommend that anybody that's involved in that shit should stop fucking straight away, because it is a way to totally destroy your life now. It always used to be under the radar, but I think in recent times, the authorities have really copped on that Australia really doesn't export drugs. So they don't have a problem with drugs leaving the country. They don't have a problem with firearms leaving the country. They don't have a problem with weapons leaving the country. It really is Australian wildlife that would be massively on their radar now. That's what happened over in America now with the blue tongues and stuff. It is, as far as I can tell, they don't allow that type of stuff to come in from overseas unless it's, I don't even think captive bred stuff in Europe is allowed to come in. They've just stopped it completely. Rough scale pie, all that stuff. Anything Australian, no more. So for us, it makes it harder now for anything that gets found in the wild here that is special and that is different and that could end up in the private industry. It makes it harder because I think it will just be absorbed by a government institution, maybe a zoo, maybe something like the Lilydale Wildlife Park, and they'll have specific clauses in their licensing or in their documentation that say that animal, any progeny cannot be sold, cannot be offloaded, and even the adult, if it dies, it needs to be frozen, and they need to see proof of death. That's what they do. Yeah, A-class zoos can export, but there's not much to export anymore. I think that the own pallies will go overseas, and then it gets filtered out eventually, or you don't know. I don't know. Pardon me. I have to lubricate the speaking voice, So that's my little bit of insight that I've got, and I can be completely wrong, and I can talk absolute garbage, and I've been known to just talk. So, but I don't want to. I need to. I think I need to go to bed. If there's not anything else, please know that I'm really grateful for the support that you guys have given me, for the people that have reached out to me and that have made an effort to get in touch. I am really grateful, and I really feel that I really appreciate that. And I hope you guys have a great week. I'll probably go live again on Wednesday. If there's please, it's very quiet. Please send me if there's anything. I'm trying to put together ideas. It's hard to come up with ideas every time, and I don't want to just come sit here and babble on for an hour and a half every time. If there's anything that you really like to see a show on, or if there's anybody you can think of that we should maybe have on the show. Oh, there's my mum also now. Hi. And then if there's anything that you guys can think of and you can you'd like to feature on here, we'll do Troy. We'll get Troy first. Hoping he can fit me in this week. And then I think the expos are going to be on. I don't know if there'll be much talk during that week of the expo because it's going to be a busy weekend. But I'm hoping to do some shows. I'm hoping to record some shows on there. And I've got, hopefully you've got power by then. It's a tough one. I heard that it's been raining up in New South Wales. It's pouring. I think we've got 30-degree days every day this week. It's not that bad. It's better than pissing down and better than 46 days. 40 to 46-degree days. But I'll be up there, and if my mobile rig can handle streaming from remote areas and stuff. So we might do a few shows on the road, maybe show a few people some nice snakes that they've never seen, or never really seen up close. So that's the purpose of Carpet Python television. Don't know if I like the sound of that. But thank you for viewing. Thank you for giving me hour and 30 of your 40 minutes of your time. And hopefully it helps us. Please promote. Please, if you want to, please tell people about the stuff. If you gain something out of it, please tell people about it. The more people we have watching, the more we can get that chat happening and get the numbers up. And I can't believe there's still 24 of you still sitting out there clutching to this, entertaining my bullshit. But have a great week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Wednesday night, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. I think Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And then with Reptile News, I might make one of those shows, reptile, like a general reptile news show. But I'll let you guys know on the Carpet Pythons page if that's going to happen. But I think the reptile news page would be a good international flavor for those of you that's interested really interested in international events as it unfolds. Have a good one. Thanks a lot, mate, and I'll see you guys.